Hello, this is Janet Michael. In addition to hosting The Valley Today each weekday at noon on the River 95.3, I also produce podcasts. And I'm excited to kick off Season 2 of our podcast series in partnership with Rappahannock Electric Cooperative. It's called We Are REC. Every week we'll release a new episode talking to different people from REC about a host of different topics. We'll get tips for saving money on your electric bill. We'll talk about renewable energy and the impact it can have in our communities. We'll get some behind-the-scenes info about what happens when the power goes out in a storm. Don't miss out on information about community grants, scholarships, REC-hosted events, and more. Get every single episode on our website at theriver953.com under the podcast tab, or you can subscribe for free in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or on Spotify. Just do a quick search for We Are REC. Hello and welcome to the Valley Today. I am your host, Janet Michael. It is Tourism Tuesday, Luray Page County edition. That means I am on the Zoom screen with my dear friend, Edie Emmons from Luray Page Chamber of Commerce. How are you doing today, Edie?
I'm good. It is very rainy here.
That's a good segue into my normal, you're listening to this on a Tuesday afternoon. However, we have pre-recorded this. We're actually recording this on a Friday afternoon, several weeks in advance of when the show is going to air. So who did you bring with you today and what are we going to be talking about?
I brought with me Tina Switzer today. She is co-owner of Switz-Mix Records, and we are going to be talking about their cool little record store.
I am excited to talk about a record store, but I have to say in our pre-show conversation, Tina reminded me that she has actually done the show before, and her husband was on the show. He did the mask show with me, and Tina, you got yourself a good man there.
I do.
But welcome back to the Valley Today. It's good to have you back on the Zoom screen today.
Thank you so much.
So tell me about Switz-Mix Records.
Switz-Mix Records is just kind of a business of love that my husband and I started a little over 5 years ago. We opened officially, and my husband and I started collecting records on our honeymoon 27 years ago. We went to New Orleans and went record shopping, and we both love music. And from that point on, our own personal collection and love of vinyl just blossomed from there. And we have a huge collection of our own. And the running joke whenever we go into a record store is, well, when we have our record store, this is what we're going to do, or we're not going to have a record store that does this. And so one day, 5.5 years ago, I looked at my husband and said, I'm going to open the record store, and I'm also going to go to graduate school. And I did both. I went to graduate school while opening the record store and graduated, and now 5+ years later, we have a fine record store in Gray, Virginia that is well loved by people who know us and people who come in the door and don't know us. They turn into fans as soon as they come in.
Well, and it's really cool because vinyl has really made a comeback. I don't want to say is making a comeback because for several years now, you're seeing a lot of people who are really excited that they're able to pull their old records, so to speak, out of storage or their basements or wherever. So it's made a comeback.
It's made a huge comeback. It hit its bottom in 2006 as the lowest point that vinyl hit, and it started resurging from there. So 2019, we've seen a huge resurgence with, I'm trying to find my number now, 2019 sales were 18.8 million in new record sales, and it's up 14% from 2018, and 20 times as were sold in 2006. So it's definitely making a huge comeback.
My husband was pretty shocked when we sent our kid off to college several years ago. I mean, he's graduated several years ago. One of the things that he wanted to take with him when he went off to school was his record player, because he wanted to be able to listen to stuff in his dorm room.
Yeah, a lot of teens and young adults and college kids, that's their must-have for their dorm rooms.
So are you finding that a lot of people are coming into the store just reliving their childhood? I mean, are they looking for a certain genre of music? What is their first reaction when they walk in the door?
Well, we have a lot of different types of shoppers. We have the people who've been collecting all along who come in and are looking to fill in holes or find better copies. We have the parent-child combo where the parents are coming in with their kids who are also into vinyl, and the parents are trying to show the kids what they should be buying, and the kids are like, well, but what about this? So we have those buyers, and then we have buyers who collected years ago, got rid of their collection, or I often get the stories of a bad breakup and she got the collection and then they're trying to rebuild that collection. Or we get the people who just, they let their collections go and they're looking to rebuild those collections. And then just new collectors who got a turntable at a yard sale and they want to buy vinyl.
Is that all you have in the store? Kind of give me a visual tour.
Visual tour, we sell records, CDs, tapes, t-shirts, magazines, books. We sell it all. We're mostly, we definitely focus on vinyl, and we sell all genres. You imagine it, we have it, everything from children to folk to product records that are specifically about product placement, music or records that are instructional, really odd records that you would never even imagine. They made a record like they're records that teach you how to type faster. There are, I mean, just you name it, we have it. So oddball things, but we also have your usual genres of rock, pop, soul, country, bluegrass, jazz, classical. We have 78s, which are the really fragile 10-inch records that a lot of people think about on those old-timey players. We have tons of 45s, which are the little, singles that you used to get when you had a couple of extra bucks when you went to the store. Back in the day, we have all of those in all different genres.
Well, and the cool thing about it is you're saying that I'm remembering. I mean, I'm in my own mind going back to when I was younger and I had this little record player, and don't laugh at me, Edie, it had orange daisies all over it. And I only had 4 or 5 of the 45s, and I would just play them over and over and over again. And one that always sticks in my mind is, and I'm really going to date myself here, Hot Child in the City. I used to play, I would know the words. I would dance around with like a Barbie doll in my hand, pretending it was a microphone. I bet you hear a lot of stories from people when they come in and find things.
Yes, that's one of the great things about buying and selling vinyl in a record store is and especially personally, I'm a nurse. I love hearing people's stories and I love to share time with them. And the bond that brings between people, and it just triggers so many memories, and people share their stories. And sometimes I feel like I should keep a journal at the front counter just to document all the stories that people just open up and share with me while they're in there browsing or buying or selling, whichever they're doing. But yeah, for me, it was a K-Tel record on my little turntable that I found at a yard sale. And I played that record front and back over and over again.
You mentioned just a second ago buying or selling. So you actually buy vinyl from other people as well?
Yeah, I sure do. We basically call it helping records find their way to their forever home. And so I have a lot of people who are collectors themselves who have extra copies or are out in the community finding records and know that I buy and know the kinds of things that I buy. So they'll bring stuff in to me so that then they can buy more records. So I have those kinds of buys, but then I also have families who maybe are getting rid of mom or dad's records after they passed away. And sometimes, I'm able to make an offer if there's something that I really feel like is of value to the store, but I also have a free table where if I really don't feel like it's something that's going to sell at the store, but I don't want it to go in the trash, we try really hard not to throw anything away in the store. We really want stuff to go to their forever homes. But yeah, I do buy collections. I go through and I try to make the best offer that we can. Switz-Mix doesn't have deep pockets, but we try to make fair offers.
We're going to take a break in a second. Before we do that, tell me exactly where you're located in Luray.
Our physical address is 183 Bluebell Avenue. We're located behind the East Luray Shopping Center and behind the free clinic in a little tiny house. We're kind of tucked in. We're hard to see from the street.
Well, let's take a quick break. When we come back, Tina, let's talk a little bit about how you decide when you're looking at vinyl, what you're going to keep for your personal collection and what goes in the store. I'm curious to see how you and your husband make those decisions. Can we talk about that a little bit when we come back?
Sounds great.
We are going to take a quick break. We are recording today over Zoom a few weeks actually ahead of when you are hearing this now on a Tuesday afternoon for Tourism Tuesday. Edie has joined me on the Zoom screen from the Luray Page Chamber of Commerce. We are chatting with Tina Switzer. She is one of the co-owners of Switz-Mix Records in Luray, and we're going to continue this conversation in just a couple of minutes.
Do you know anyone who is struggling with financial hardships because of coronavirus? Our new webinar called Coping with the Money Crunch can help. We'll talk about immediate options to consider, revising or creating a spending plan, and lots of community resources. Then we'll cover how to narrow your priorities, contact creditors, and avoid scams and risky loans. The webinar is free, and you can either join by phone or through Zoom on a smartphone, tablet, or computer. You can find out more by visiting the Northern Shenandoah Valley Financial Education Program on Facebook or calling Karen Poff at 540-635-4549. Let me show you how to make your own plan or help someone you care about get through the crisis. Call 635-4549 or visit at NSV Financial Education on Facebook today.
Welcome back to the Valley today. I am your host, Janet Michael. It is Tourism Tuesday, Luray Page County edition. As you are listening to the show, we, however, have pre-recorded it a few weeks in advance over a Zoom screen. Edie is on the Zoom screen with me from Luray Page Chamber of Commerce. We are chatting with Tina Switzer. She and her husband, Dave, own Switz-Mix Records in Luray. And Tina, when we went to break, I asked you when we came back if we could talk about the decision. So if you and your husband are out somewhere or somebody brings a collection into the store hoping to sell it to you, how do you guys decide what goes in the store versus what maybe goes to your own personal collection at home?
Well, I had to set some very strict ground rules with my husband when we first started buying collections for the store. One specific one was an Evel Knievel record that he just fell in love with and sat there and took pictures with. And I said, well, hun, you have to understand that we're buying this or have bought this with Switz-Mix money. And so if you want this, you're going to have to buy this from the store. And so he did, and he was a good sport about it. But yeah, I mean, one of the joys of looking through the records that we get into to decide if we're going to sell at the store or buy collections is just looking through records and finding stuff that we've never seen before and filling genres that we have a hard time keeping stuff in stock in. And we get so excited because we know when our customers come in and see that empty slot that says Led Zeppelin or Pink Floyd, that we're actually going to be able to put something behind that card. So, I mean, just sitting down and pouring through, and also just knowing the memories and the history of how many places they've been and how many homes they've seen and the history in each and every one of those records is just so much fun. This one, I couldn't believe. There was actually a record from a collection that I bought locally that found its way back to its original owner when they came in the store and pointed out the marks on it. They had moved around the country a bit and then it had come back to the area, and they found their own copy of a record that they were sad that they had lost track of. So that's completely an aside, but those are just the fun things that happen when you think about these records that are 40, 50, or for 78s, even 100 plus years old, that these records, the places they've been and the things that they've done and seen, it's so much fun. I love the history of it.
Well, and that brings me to my second question, because we are many decades removed from a lot of the music that many of us probably remember listening to on vinyl. What kind of things do you run into from the perspective of being able to buy and resell it? What kind of condition does it have to be in? I mean, do you have to do inspections? What's involved with looking at the actual merchandise itself?
Yeah, when we have a collection that comes in, we look at, first of all, titles that we feel like we're going to be able to sell in our store. There are certain records that are not going to sell in our store. We sell the occasional Bing Crosby or the occasional Herb Alpert, and everybody has one of those in their collection. And so there are certain things that I have 40 copies of, and I just look at it and say, sigh. But when I'm looking at the collection, I'm looking at the condition of the records. It's not just the cover, but actually the record itself. For a collector, a record can sell for $1 to $500, and it's all going to depend on what condition it's in. And so that's the main thing that I feel like I need to educate people on when they bring a collection in for me to sell. It's all about the collectability and the condition before I can make a decision on how much I'm willing to offer to buy that record and have it in stock. And so we usually go by what the average nationwide is going for. And so I use eBay and a website called Discogs to kind of balance out what an offer might be. So if a record for me is going to sell for $10, then I'm going to hopefully be able to offer you $5 for it, with all of those condition issues in mind. So that's how we look, and that's how we decide. And I also want to mention, we have a very great treasure in our store with my store manager who's been with us for a little while, Dave Lewis. His record store handle is Uncle Dave, and he has worked in the music industry for years and years and years on the retail side, and also in the writing and publication. And he's worked, when he actually gave me the list of things that he does, I was pretty impressed. He's worked at the Virgin Megastore in LA. He was a writer for the All Music Guide in Ann Arbor, Michigan for 10 years, an editor, a cataloger for the discography of American Historical Recordings. I mean, just a huge, and he's a musician. He's kind of an Ohio musician, underground kind of guy. So come in and say hi to Uncle Dave. He really has a lot of musical knowledge that I can't even wrap my head around.
Talk to me about the generations. I mean, are you getting a lot of your customers that are coming in their 50s, 60s? Are you seeing a younger generation that's now learned to appreciate vinyl? What kind of customer are you seeing in the store? I
see both. I see a lot of, well, and I try to breed vinyl lovers early on. If I have little ones that come in with their parents, I'll often give them a little record treat to take home with them, and tell their parents to make sure they play that record for them and bring them back to start their own record collection. So we have really little ones, a lot of teens and young adults who come in. Some of the JMU crowd has found me coming in from Harrisonburg. A lot of people who, again, have just never stopped collecting or rebuilding their collections. I see the whole age range, everywhere from little kids all the way up to people in their 70s and 80s coming in and buying from me.
Well, and I guess since the theme of the show today is Tourism Tuesday, I should probably ask, do you get a lot of tourists? I mean, are you a tourist-driven business?
I am very much a tourist-driven business. People come to my community just to come to my record store, and then I feel very honored to be able to then send them off to other opportunities in the area. The wedding industry is huge for me. When people come to town for a wedding, they're looking for things to do in between, and so I've gotten entire wedding parties come in and shop the day before the wedding. I very much am driven by the tourist industry in Page County.
And I could see where people would get on the internet and do a search and find out if there's a record store somewhere and decide they're going to make a day trip or a weekend trip of it because they are just that committed to their collections.
I have driven a long ways to shop for vinyl myself. So when you find a record store, you will get in the car and you will drive there, and then you will tell all your friends about it. I get a lot of traffic from DC area, people coming in thinking, well, if this record store is good, that's great. If not, it's a lovely day trip to the mountains. I get a lot of those, a lot of people coming in from Richmond. And I've had people who have come to the area to vacation from as far away as Texas and up Connecticut, Georgia. I have repeat customers from South Carolina that come a couple of times a year when they come to their family cabin. I get a lot of out of town folks.
So you mentioned earlier that you're a nurse, and I mentioned that your husband, Dave Switzer, was on the Valley Today with me a few weeks ago talking about the importance of wearing masks. How has COVID-19 impacted your business? Did you guys have to close for a while? What kinds of precautions and things have you put in place there?
We actually did close. We never actually physically had to close under the governor's mandates, but there was a day when somebody came to the record store from an outlying community, and that was the only reason they came to the area, was just to come to my record store. And I said, and it was really when Page County was being hit hard. And I said, I cannot, with good conscience, keep my doors open and invite people to come in from out of the area. So we actually ended up closing. Uncle Dave, the manager, he was still on site the whole time, cleaning and getting records ready for when we could reopen. And he did see some folks by appointment if everybody, could manage to stay completely far away from each other, and we could ensure that masks were worn. So we did do some appointment type stuff, but we were definitely hit by the pandemic, and we reopened in early June. Gosh, I can't remember. Early mid-June is when we officially reopened. No, but we are reopened now, and yes, we do require masks.
Can you tell me, before I switch gears and chat with Edie for a few minutes, where are you located? What are your hours, and where can people get more information?
We are located at 183 Bluebell Avenue in Luray. That's behind the East Luray Shopping Center and behind the free clinic on East Main Street. Our hours are Thursday through Sunday, 11 to 6. And they can find us on Facebook under Switz-Mix Records, and we are also on Instagram on Switz-Mix Records.
Tina, thank you so much for having this conversation with me today. I find it fascinating, and now I'm going to have to go to my basement and start digging out some of my vinyl.
Please do. Vinyl love.
So, Edie, do you own any vinyl, or are you way too young to understand what any of this stuff is?
Of course I own vinyl, Janet. No, I inherited my mother's vinyl collection over the years, and I built on it myself as well. I'll listen to music however I can get it.
Well, and that's the other piece of it too. And Tina, you'll probably agree that most people, they just have a love of music, and how they listen to it sometimes is irrelevant. But when they can get as close to the natural version of it, which is what the records and the vinyl really is, it just makes it the experience that much better.
Absolutely.
So, Edie, you got anything coming up chamber-wise or tourism-wise that we need to know about?
Chamber-wise, we do have a few events at the end of this month. Business After Hours is going to be on the 20th from 5:30 to 7. It's going to be at Taste, the Southern Market in Shenandoah. It's a new place that's opened. On the 25th, we have Coffee and Conversation from 10 to 11 with the Page County Department of Social Services. And then on the 27th, we have our Young Professionals meeting at Castle Vineyards from 5:30 to 7.
So are you guys back to doing some things in person? Are you still doing hybrid versions? I know your Coffee and Conversation is usually a virtual thing. Are your Business After Hours and things like that back to being in person?
So we have started doing some in person. Business After Hours is in person. Everybody needs to wear a mask and, social distance as much as possible. Young Professionals is the same. It'll be in person, but masks and social distancing are required. We're slowly starting to bring things back in person if we feel like we can keep it safe.
So if somebody is listening and they didn't have a chance to write down the dates, or they want to know what else is going on with Luray Page Chamber of Commerce, where is the best place for them to go?
So you can either visit our Facebook, visit Luray Page, or you can go to our website, which is just luraypage.com. From there, you can go to our community calendar. It'll have information on community events as well as our chamber event.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for spending some time with me on the Zoom screen today. I do appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
We are going to wrap up today's conversation for Tourism Tuesday, Luray Page County edition. We have been chatting with Edie from Luray Page Chamber of Commerce, along with Tina Switzer. Her and her husband Dave own Switz-Mix Records in Luray. I will put links to everything that we talked about up on the show notes page so that you can go back and connect with them individually. I will be back tomorrow for a brand new episode of The Valley Today. Since we're recording so far in advance, I got no idea who's going to be my guest on the show tomorrow, but it'll be somebody. So I'll meet you back here tomorrow a few minutes after noon, and we'll figure it out together.